but I am. Let's go ahead and get started. So, today we have a story from Tales of Virtue, which is the beginner's Bible. And this story today is on loyalty. Loyalty. So, that's kind of a big word, right? Loyalty. Loyalty. There's three stops in that word. So, we'll talk about stops, but there's loyalty. There's three stops in that word. Okay. So it's kind of a big word because it has three stops. All right. But what is it? What is it? Let's find out what it is, right? So this is a story about Naomi and Ruth. Naomi and Ruth. And there's a book in the Bible that's called Ruth. And so if you wanted the whole story right from the Bible, you could ask somebody that you trust to read you that story right from the Bible, the full story. It really is an interesting story. It's an interesting story because Naomi stays with her not her real mother, but her husband's mother, and stays with her, and she's able to find somebody that she really loves, and that was her reward. That was her reward for being faithful or loyal to her, who it was her mother-in-law. So that's really an amazing story. And that's one of the things that the Bible teaches us. And actually, all Holy Scripture teaches us that when we do good things, that we do get rewards. Sometimes they're inside our hearts. Sometimes our rewards are inside our hearts. You know, sometimes when your heart feels like it's so excited and your heart feels like it's so full, those are rewards that we get inside our hearts. Sometimes those are the only rewards we get are the rewards inside our hearts. But luckily, the rewards inside our hearts, they help make our minds healthy, they help make our bodies healthy, and they keep our spirits healthy. So that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. All right, so let's read the story, even though I kind of told you about it a little bit already. That's, why I told you about it, because it's a short story. That's the reason why. All right, I don't have my glasses on. We'll see if I need my glasses in a minute. All right. Loyalty means to stay with someone. I do need my glasses. Hold on. Because they're right here. One of the things when you don't have your glasses is your reading gets really choppy. And so I could see it, but I don't want my reading to be choppy. Pretty clean. Okay, let's start again. Loyalty means to stay with someone in the fun times and in the sad times. Loyalty means that we will never leave our friends when they need us. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't say we'll never leave anybody, right? It says we'll never leave our friends. So that's interesting, right? Because I sometimes get mad at my friends, don't I? I mean, I do. Do you? I get mad at my friends sometimes. Okay, let's see. Let's read it again, okay? Because it's a short story. Loyalty means to stay with someone in the fun times and in the sad times. Loyalty means that we will never leave our friends when they need us. Well, that's nice. I like that. Because I want somebody, even if I make a mistake, I want them to not leave me, right? That would hurt my feelings a lot. A lot. Okay. I just wanted to see if you could see it here. There we go. A long time ago, Ruth lived with Naomi in the land of Moab. So we're talking about, it sounds like strange countries, right? So different countries, faraway lands. Ruth was married to one of Naomi's sons. Then a sad thing happened. Naomi's husband died. Soon Ruth's husband died too. Ruth and Naomi were all alone. What would they do? You know what? My husband died too, and I'm all alone here too. So I know exactly how they feel. I know how they feel, but at least they have one another, right? That's nice that Ruth has Naomi and Naomi has Ruth. I think that's really nice. I'm happy for them. Well, what will they do though? I wonder what they'll do. Naomi wanted to go back to Bethlehem where she grew up. I've heard of Bethlehem before because Jesus was born in Bethlehem, so I know Bethlehem. She tried to get Ruth to stay in Moab. Naomi said, Ruth, stay in Moab. Well, that's a way to get Ruth to stay in Moab, right? Tell her, Ruth, stay in Moab. You can marry again. You can have a new husband and a home. That was nice of Naomi. She wanted Ruth to be happy with a husband and a home. That was very nice of Naomi. I think it was. Because then Naomi, if Ruth stayed, she would be all alone. Ruth did not want to stay in Moab without Naomi. She wanted to go with Naomi. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Ruth said, I don't ever want to leave you. I want to stay with you forever. Ruth loved Naomi very much. I was going to say that. When I heard her say she never wanted to leave, I was going to say she must love her very much. They must love one another very much. It's so nice to have a friend that you love that much, isn't it? Especially when you have sad times, right? You really need a friend to stay with you and be loyal to you, and especially in sad times, don't you? So Ruth and Naomi walked to Bethlehem together. The trip was long and hard. When they came to Bethlehem, Naomi said, I'm tired and hungry. Ruth said, I will help you. I will work in the fields and gather grain for us. She worked all day long to get enough food. That was really nice of Ruth, wasn't it? And you know what else I'm going to tell you about? And I'll show you, I'll keep the picture over here so you can see the nice pictures. Is that what I know about is that they were very poor women, because women back a long time ago in the Bible days, they really depended on men to have anything. They couldn't own anything of their own. And so how could they really do a lot and make any kind of money if they couldn't really own anything on their own? Now, I don't know exactly the law, because I do know women did own stuff during that day. So I don't know exactly what the law was, but that is the issue there. So they were poor. They were poor. And it says here that I will work in the fields and gather grain for us. So that's what it says there. I will gather grain for us. And what I know is that the people who owned the fields, what they would do for the poor people is they would leave the grain on the outside that fell down. Okay. Now, people needed grain in order to make bread, right? So they used the grain in order to make bread. But it wasn't their field, right? So how could they take the grain to make bread? And they didn't own a field, so they couldn't grow the grain. And so what the owners of the fields would do to take care of the poor people, because back in those days they cared about the poor people. So to take care of the poor people, what they did is they would leave the grain that kind of fell down and would have been wasted. It wasn't, still growing or whatever, and was kind of wasted on the ends of the field for the poor people to collect. And if they were willing to work, I will work in the field. If they were willing to work, they could go and pick up that grain for free, and they would have something to feed their families. So that was a wonderful thing for everybody. It was very generous of the owners of the field to do that for the poor people, knowing especially that women could be poor and could be widowed without a husband as well, right? But they didn't just give it to them free. They had to work for it. They had to get up and get the grain. And a lot of times they had to get it early in the morning, because otherwise other people would be there and gather the grain, and maybe you wouldn't have anything to eat that day, or maybe you wouldn't have anything to make bread that day, right? So this is really nice of Ruth to work for Naomi gathering the grain. It's very nice for the owners of the field to leave that grain for the poor people. And it was very, I'm going to use the word industrious. It was very industrious of Ruth to go out and pick up that grain in the field, right? That was really good. Okay, so that tells us a little bit about days back in Bethlehem, what they would do. Okay, let's see. I want to keep this as. There we go. It was not easy for Ruth to work in the fields. It was not easy because she was from Moab. The Bethlehem workers might not like someone they did not know. But Ruth said, I am not afraid. Naomi is too old and tired to work in the fields. I will be loyal to my friend. I will take care of her. So, see, Naomi was an older woman. She was Ruth's mother. No, she wasn't. I don't think no, she wasn't Ruth's mother. I don't know who she was to Ruth. Actually, I'm not sure. I have to think about that. She had the son. That's right. She was Naomi was Ruth's mother-in-law. That's who she was. Okay, so not her mother, but her mother-in-law. And she had the son that Ruth was married to that died. So Naomi lost her husband, and then she lost her sons. Actually, she lost two sons, is what I know. So she lost her two sons, and one of her sons was was Ruth's husband. Sorry about getting that wrong. Okay. Ruth was good to Naomi. She did not leave Naomi. She stayed with her and helped her. Later, Ruth married a man named Boaz. Even then, Ruth said, I will never leave you, Naomi. Naomi was very happy. So see what happened? And part of this story is that God keeps his word. God keeps his promises. He tells us that if we take care of one another, that we will have good lives. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be rich. It doesn't say, well, actually Ruth did become rich because Boaz was rich. So isn't that wonderful for Ruth? She married a rich man who owned fields and had grain. So that was wonderful. But God keeps his promises that when we follow his rules, which as children, many times we don't like to follow rules, right? Many times we don't like to follow, not even as children, as adults, we don't like to follow rules. In fact, I think adults are way worse than children about following rules. They hate for anyone to tell them to follow a rule. That much I know. I just wanted to see if I'm recording and stuff. But God does keep his promises. And that is a wonderful thing that when we do follow rules, and we can test God on that. God tells us we can test him. In fact, he says, please test me. He says, please test me. Follow my rules, and I will show you that you will have a good life. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have a rich life. But remember, when our hearts are bursting with joy and happiness, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have anything to do with money. And that's what Ruth and Naomi were finding out about loyalty, about being loyal to one another. Okay, so I do have a song for you. I'm so happy that I do. And then we're going to take a little break. I'm going to take a little break right now. Let's look at the questions. We don't need to take a break right now. We haven't even gotten to the questions. Remember what I said about reading a story, and I'm going to remind you of this. And sometimes I forget to do this myself. But the idea is that after we read a story, or read anything for that matter, we want our brains to digest it, right? So we've got our brain up here, we have a brain in our gut. We said that we actually say that our second brain is in our gut where we digest. And it kind of does make sense, doesn't it? Because I say digest, but I'm talking about your mind. I want your mind to digest the story. And as we were reading, our minds were digesting the story. Why? Because I was stopping and I was thinking about things and I was adding comments, right? So that helps me process, we can call it process, or it helps me digest the story. Okay, so that's always the first thing that we want to do. Whenever we read something, if we want to get the most out of what we read, what we want to do is think about what we've read right away, right away. Talk about it with somebody, think about it, write about it, whatever we can do to help us remember that story better. That's what we want to do right away. So, in order to do that, what we want to do is we want to take a look at these questions we have. All right, so it says, this is a book about right and wrong. Because remember, that's what we said the very first day, yesterday, so long ago, our very first day, we talked about that book and we said it was a book about right and wrong. That's what it says in the introduction. In our story on loyalty, what were some right decisions that were made and what were some wrong decisions that were made? So think about that, right? Now, yesterday we asked that question about Joseph, if you remember, right? So there were lots of things that were wrong in that because Joseph had some very jealous and envious brothers, didn't he? His brothers were very jealous and envious of him. So there were lots of things yesterday in our story yesterday that we could point to that said that that was wrong, because this is a story about right and wrong, and sometimes there are things that people do, right? There are things that I do that are simply wrong. We can't look at bad behavior and say, oh, it's okay, it's kind of right. No, we look at bad behavior and we point to it and we say, that's wrong behavior. When a police officer doesn't look for evidence, what do we say? Or a sheriff's department doesn't look for evidence, we say, that's wrong behavior. Why? Because we have to trust the police officers to do their job, right? We can't say, well, it's kind of okay, right? We can't say that. No, because we need police officers and sheriffs to do their jobs. They're like cowboys. If sheriffs aren't doing their job, who is doing their job, right? Okay, so we can't say that's okay, that's because it's wrong. No, there are things that people do that are wrong. And sometimes we shut our mouths about it. And sometimes we shouldn't open up our mouths about it, right? Sometimes it's none of our business to open up our mouths about it. But sometimes somebody does something wrong right to me, right? Directly to me. Then it is kind of my business, isn't it? Right? Then I have to figure out what I'm going to do about it. So there are things that people do that are right, and there are things that people do that are wrong. Sometimes it's my business to say something. Sometimes it's not my business to say something, right? So we have to kind of think about that sometimes. But in the case of Naomi and Ruth, who were loyal to one another, what do you think? Do you think that if Ruth did something wrong, that Naomi would tell her she did something wrong? Do you think that that's a loyal friend? Do you think a loyal friend would tell you when you did something wrong? I do. I think that's a very good friend. I don't want my friend to yell at me, right? I hope my friend doesn't yell at me, but I hope she tells me nicely that I did something wrong, because I think that's what a good friend does, because that's helpful. Why? Why is that helpful for a good friend to tell me when I did something wrong? Well, because when I do things right, God promises that I will get rewards. No matter who your God is, these are the promises that God's make to their people. When you honor me, right, and when you follow my rules, I will do what for you? All kinds of things is what the promises are from, bothered by my hair, what the promises are from God, right? Or from higher spirit powers. That's what we believe in, right? That's why we believe and hope that they are true, because they're able to do things for us that we can't do for ourselves. And that makes it actually very exciting to me to think about having somebody like that on my side that is loyal to me. Do you think God is loyal to me? Do you think God is loyal to you? Do you think God is loyal? I do. I do. Because I I want somebody to be loyal to me, and I think if I want somebody to be loyal to me, that's probably a good thing, and I think God's a good thing. So I think God is probably pretty loyal. Okay, so let's look at. Now, you're going to answer these questions on your own, okay? So I want you to think about them and try and answer the questions on your own. In our story on loyalty, what were some right decisions that were made and what were some wrong decisions that were made? I can't really think of any wrong decisions that were made. Yeah, I can't think of any wrong decisions that were made. So that was wonderful. It wasn't wrong for Ruth to leave Moab, so I think that's good. What does it mean to be loyal? What does it mean to be loyal? So we had that, we called it loyalty, right? So that is, we said there were 3 stops in the word loyalty. Loyalty. 3 stops in the word loyalty. But loyal has only 2 stops. Loyal, only 2 stops. So it's a little bit shorter, right? It's a little bit shorter, but it's still kind of the same word. Kind of the same word, meaning kind of the same thing. All right, so what does it mean to be loyal to somebody? How was Ruth loyal to Naomi? How was Ruth loyal to Naomi? Who are you loyal to and why? Now, this is a really important question, right? Because it says 2 things. It's a question that tells me 2 things. Number 1, do you love people? Do you have people that you love? And do you have people that love you? Because that's who I would be loyal to, right? I would be loyal to the people that I love because they loved me too. So that's the first part of the question is really, do you have somebody that you're loyal to? Do you have somebody that you love and you care enough about that you would be loyal to that person? So that's good, right? We could say, well, you know, Dr. Feravich, or we call me Miss Annette in this class, right? I'm Miss Annette in this class. That, what about my pet? I'm loyal to my pet. Well, one of the things about loyalty is that it really does kind of have to be because my pet Lucy, who's my pet, loves me a lot. I know she loves me a lot, but I can't expect her to go work in the fields for me, right? So there really has to be kind of an equal exchange between the two. There has to be an equal exchange between loyalties. So if I'm loyal to somebody and I'm able to do this and this and this for you, then the person being loyal back, they should be able to do this and this and that. Maybe not the same things, right? But be able to do those kinds of things when I'm in need. Come and drive and pick me up if I'm stuck someplace, right? That's loyalty. So if we're talking about who can you be loyal to or are you loyal to anybody, you might be loyal to your pet, but that's not really what we're talking about because your pet really can't be 100% loyal to you because they can't go and pick up the groceries when you don't have anything to eat, right? Or like I said, help you out when you have a flat tire. So it's a little bit different when you have got when you are loyal to a pet because the pet can't return the loyalty in the same kind of way. All right. So do you have somebody that you are loyal to that's a person? Do you have a friend? So that tells me that you have a friend, right? And that also tells me that you really care about that friend, that you have somebody that you really care about. So that's important, to find somebody that you are loyal to and that is loyal to you. Now, when that happens, though, I said, why are you loyal to that person? So that's the other question there. Why are you loyal to that person? And the idea here is that you're loyal to people. Why? Because they do things for you? Is that why? Because thank goodness I have somebody in case my car breaks down? Is that why you're loyal to somebody? Right? So isn't that funny? I'm loyal to somebody and they're loyal to me, which means I have somebody to help me, but that's not the reason that I'm loyal to them, right? So why are you loyal to a person? Do you have somebody that you're loyal to, and why? And if you don't have somebody that you're loyal to, then try and find somebody that you're loyal to, right? Try and find somebody. But again, that's not going to be somebody who you're going to be loyal to that can give you something, right? It's going to have to be somebody that you like, that you care about. And that's why you're loyal to them. Isn't that funny? So we just can't be loyal to somebody in order to get something back. We're loyal to somebody because we love them and we care about them. And then that makes us want to do things for them, and it makes them want to do things for us. So we're not loyal to people to get things, but we get things when we're loyal to people. That's so nice, isn't it? That's awesome. I think it's awesome. What do we have next? Should you be loyal to everyone? Should you be loyal to everyone? That's a pretty good question, and I try and ask only good questions. And what do you think? I'm trying to pull up my other thing over here. What do you think? Should you be loyal to everyone? Well, one of the first things is are they going to be loyal to me? That's the very first thing I think of, right? Are they going to be loyal to me? Because if somebody isn't loyal to me, then why would I be loyal to them? I think, being as old as I am, I think it's hard work to be loyal to somebody. Ruth had to work very hard to stay loyal to Naomi. She left Moab, the place where her husband was, right? So she left Moab. And so that was probably hard for her to do. She went to a strange place without anything, Bethlehem. That probably had to be hard for her to do. And she wasn't with her people, the same kind of people. She wasn't with the people that she knew in Moab. She was with new people in Bethlehem. That had to be hard as well. So being loyal to somebody can be work. Why would we want to do that kind of work? Well, we want to do that kind of work because we love that person. So should we be loyal to anyone? Probably not, because we don't love everyone. Now we have to try and be nice to everyone. Just because we don't love everyone, right? In that kind of way that I would go and be loyal to them and go work for them or do things for them. We don't care about everyone in that way, right? And so if I don't love you in that way, I'm not going to necessarily work very hard for you, right? So, but if I love you, if I care about you, including my job, including my employer, then I'll work hard for you and I will be loyal to you. And so loyalty isn't just for one person to another. I could be loyal to a whole group of people, like maybe my church. Maybe I'm loyal to the people in my church. Or maybe I'm loyal to my entire family, right? So we can be loyal to groups, but we can also be loyal to, like, we would call them like institutions, is what we call them. That's a really long word. Institutions. That has 4 breaks in it. That word has 4 breaks in it. So that's a long word. That's a big word, okay? But we can be loyal to like our like we can be loyal to our school. So that's an institution. We can be loyal to our school. We can be loyal to a sports team. That's an institution. We could be loyal to a sport. I like football. I don't care for basketball, right? We can be loyal to a sport. That's an institution, is what we're talking about. So we can be loyal to those things as well. Why? Why would I be loyal to a sports team? Because I love that sports team. That's the reason why I would be loyal to that sports team, right? Same reason I would be loyal to a person or to a group of people like my family. Why? Because I love and care about them. That's the reason why. Okay, so let's see if we have anything else, because I know I have a good song coming up. Okay. So I'm going to take a little break, and like I said, I have a song for you, and in fact, I'll probably end it with this song. This song is about friendship from Bruno Mars, and hopefully I won't get this whole thing excluded from the internet for this, copyrighted for it. But I like to give you music, and this is an educational video, so I'm hoping that they let me give you some music in between. Actually, before we go to the music, I'm going to introduce the last 2 slides because we only have a few minutes left. Then we'll play the music, and then that will be the end of the lesson for today. So let me get to the last 2 slides because these are about the alphabet. Okay? Am I going to do this? I think I am. All right, so these are about the alphabet. And what I want you to do is I want you to try and learn the alphabet with me. So one of the things that we are doing here is we're not just reading nice stories here, but we really are learning. So remember, this is the Early Bird Classroom, and this is for younger people. And this is we're learning all kinds of things. We're learning how we should behave, and we're also learning about we're getting ready to read is what we're doing. We're getting ready to read. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at this ABC song that I have called ABC Rock. That didn't sound like an ABC Rock song at all, did it? No, it didn't. That was the wrong song, but it was the only one I had uploaded. I found a new one that I liked better, which was an ABC Rock song. That ABC song was the song that I grew up with, and so that's the one that I remember listening to. But the point of this is that when we learn songs, let me put up the other one up there. Let me rephrase that. When we are learning something and we put it to music, whatever song you might know The Farmer in the Dell, The Farmer in the Dell. I don't even know the words to that song. Why did I pick that? What is the rest of the words? I have no idea. But we know the tune of it, right? We know the tune of songs. There are certain songs that you will know the tunes of. And so when you try and remember that, I can't put ABC to The Farmer in the Dell. I don't even know why I picked that song. How about Joy to the World? Joy to the World. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Not my best voice this morning. I'm sorry. I have a better voice than that. But the point is that we put our words that we want to memorize to music, and it helps us memorize that more. So, the months of the year, I'm trying to think of, and the days of the week. We can put those to music, and when we put those to music, am I past my time? No, I'm looking at my time. And when we put those to music, we remember them better. And so when we are back here on Tuesday, that's what we're going to do. We're going to put things to music to help us memorize those a little bit better. So we're going to come back with ABC Rock on Tuesday at 7 a.m. We're going to do our alphabet with ABC Rock. We're going to talk a little bit about setting to music our months of the year. We have January, February, March, April, May. Okay, we're gonna set. I'm trying my voice out, folks. It really is better, but these songs are so old. I'm sorry. Anyway, doesn't matter because I'm a teacher and I'm supposed to sing with you guys. I don't have anybody to sing with, but I'm a teacher and I'm supposed to be singing. So we're gonna set things to music is what we're going to do to try and help us remember them. And then when we come back on Tuesday, we're also going to be talking about our vowels. Okay? Now, I have another song for you that I wanted to play, and that's how we're going to end up leaving this. Let's see where I have it.
If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do, oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. If you're tossing and you're turning and you just can't fall asleep, I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to